Hey, Daily Dosers, Chris here. So good to be back with you. I love this week. I love the theme of this week, no greater love. Not only because it's about love and no greater love, but because I've said it before so many times, get ready to roll your eyes. There has been nothing that has impacted my walk with God more than understanding no greater love. I've told you before, I grew up thinking that you have to love God, you have to worship God, and it was so hard for me. I don't love things naturally. I don't feel things naturally. And to love an invisible God was just an impossibility. It wasn't until actually, ironically, I was already committed to ministry. I was in school, I was taking theology classes, and I started reading, and it started to hit me. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? How come no one taught me this? How come no one taught me this? Every time God comes to his people and says, love me and follow me, he never starts with that. You know what he starts with? Remember what I have done for you. Remember how I did it. Now, return that. Oh, it's genius. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I don't know why I grew up in a church that tried to tell me to love God, love God, love God without saying, look, don't worry about loving God. Let me tell you everything he's done for you. Let me tell you how he did it and why. I promise at the end of that journey, your heart cannot contain a love that's going to respond to that. Why do we love people? Because of who they are in our life, because of how attractive they are in our life, because of what they've done for us, because of what they've meant for us. That's why we love people. And God gets that. He created us in his image. He created us in love, out of love, as species that would love him, honor him, and love each other. So here's an example of that. He brings his people Israel out of Egypt. They've been in bondage for several hundred years. They don't know their God. He sends Moses to deliver them. Moses gets them out of Pharaoh's army. They got plagues in the land. They cross the Red Sea. They're out in the desert. And God goes, okay, let me introduce myself to my people. And let me tell my people, I want you to surrender and follow me. But God knows he doesn't start that way. This is how God starts. Exodus chapter 19. Then Moses, verse 3, went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, this is what you are to say to the house of Jacob, and what you are to tell the people of Israel. And I'm expecting 10 ways to worship me, 10 ways to increase your prayer life. Here's the type of faith. You got to have surrender. You got to become my slaves. Remember, this is God's party to his people. For hundreds of years, they've forgotten who he is, for generations. So God goes, Moses, this is how we start a relationship. And this is what he starts with. Tell them, you yourselves have seen what I have done to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings, and how I have brought you to myself. Moses, don't start with why you have to love God or pray to God or serve God or slave guys. No. Tell them, you've seen who I am and what I've done. You felt my power on your behalf. You saw my salvation. You saw how I saved you, what I saved you from, what I brought you to. Moses has told you, I'm promising you a land of milk and honey. Oh, for an agrarian society, this is the most amazing land you can have. Moses, before you tell the people anything about how they respond to me, first tell them how I have already responded to them. This is the beauty of 1 John in the New Testament. We love God because he first loved us. And he offered his son as a sacrifice to redeem us and buy us back, to adopt us and make us his. I love God as a response to what this amazing God has done for me. North Coast, there is no greater love than the understanding the creator of the universe has a place for you, a plan for you, a purpose for you. And he's gone all in first. He is so all in on you. Can I remind you who he is, what he's done, how he saved you, what he has saved you from, what he wants to bring you to, what he wants to produce in you and through you, the fruits of the Spirit in your life, the purpose and significance before you ever think about loving him. From beginning to the end, Joshua will lead the people in that promised land 2 generations later. And before he tells them to choose to serve the Lord, he goes, can I just remind you 3 chapters of everything God has done for us first? Now choose this day whom you want to love, whom you want to serve. But I promise you, if you're loving and serving other things in this life than him, Well, there's no greater love. What a story.